and then you have a title page. Your cover page, title page can be similar. And then you either have your abstracts or you have the contents page, correct? Oh, Luis, you can't hear? Can the rest of you hear me? Oh, sorry, Luis. Luis can't hear. Okay. So, like I was saying, after the title page, either you can have, either you can have your abstract or your contents page. Either which way, I'm going to accept it. Correct. And then once that's done, of course, you need to have review of literature. But before we get there, now do your best to follow APA format for your contents page and of course the abstracts. Do your best to stick within the number of words that is, suggested for your abstract. Make sure your abstract is one paragraph but has 3 parts to it. The first part of your abstract must include what your lab research was about, information like your participants, what it was about, even before the participant, what was it about, what was the research question, and what were the hypotheses. So please make sure you write the hypothesis in your, or rather you state your hypothesis in your abstract. Then the middle part is your methodology, how you went about, doing the research or the lab experiments, and then what are the statistical analysis you used. And then the last part is like a report of some of the results and the interpretation and final conclusions. Now, these days, whenever we submit any review paper or a lab report, our abstract includes keywords because most of the stuff, or rather everything is online, you see. So the keywords are a hint to kind of like, find your lab report on the internet. Not that we'll be putting it on the internet, but then it helps to have at least 2 or 3 keywords written below your abstract. Again, APS style. After this, on a new page, you start review of literature. In your review of literature, certainly there are 2 major parts to it. One part of the review of literature must clearly show the negative relationship between anxiety, high anxiety, high arousal, over arousal, pressure, stress, whatever term you use, on performance. And the second part to it must show a positive, or rather a strong efficacy of pre-performance routines in managing the negative impact of anxiety, arousal, stress, pressure on performance. Make sure you have at least 5 research studies for both. All right. When you talk about pre-performance routines, it helps to look for research that has used Singer's 5-step approach. Now, overall, each of the research you're reviewing, it helps to have a team sport because basketball is a team sport. And as much as possible, if you can find existing research on basketball, it'll be great. Yeah. Now your review of literature must end with the research question, and certainly it should be followed by the hypothesis. So just to address the question of how many hypotheses, like I told you, the data set given to you has high skilled and low skilled. But the hypothesis given to you in a methodology does not specifically address those, but there is a need to do it. So these 2 hypotheses become 4, correct? Now, you have the freedom to rewrite the hypothesis in your own words, rewrite the statements. However, you need to make sure that they kind of reflect the essence of your methodology and your research question. What else? Once that's done, of course, is the methodology section. Um, you're not expected to have a methodology, so to say. You can either copy paste the one given to you by ENU, or you could just write methodology on a new page and then move on to results. But you must have a page with the heading of methodology, with or without information. Results section follows this, must start on a new page. In the results section, of course, you need to go hypothesis by hypothesis. You need to have relevant tables from your SPSS output, and certainly a graphical representation of those numbers or whatever the results show. And of course, a report of what the results are. Then the final section is your discussion. Your discussion must clearly discuss all 4 hypotheses, any output that has come from the hypothesis. Any discussion must do its best to revisit the research that has been reviewed in the review of part of your lab report. Additionally, when you raise arguments on why the results match with past research and why they don't, you can have additional review of literature in support of your arguments. And while you're using additional research, review of research, unless there's a question of methodology you're arguing about your own methodology, then you might want to state the methodology that was used in past research, which has showed different results, for example, or past literature that has used a better methodology, and this is what you're recommending, etc., etc. Otherwise, you can just have a statement and have a citation with it, in-text citation, and that should do. Make sure you recognize and state limitations, explain why you believe these are limitations, and then certainly suggest future directions. Ideally, your future directions should be, in a way, solutions, probable solutions to the limitations you have raised of your research, ideally. So if you could kind of tie that in, that'll be great. And then, of course, the reference list. Any questions for me? Are you able to hear? Thanks. Okay. So if you don't have any questions, for those of you who are yet to email me your lab report, please do so. I mean, if you see the need, and when you do, then we're going to fix 15-20 minute slot where I can give you a feedback over the phone. The only time I might not be, generally I do it in the evenings for most of those who have submitted. The only day I might not be able to do it as of now is the 27th evening, because I will be on a flight. Yeah. Otherwise, most evenings should work. Late evenings, rather. Somewhere around 9:30, 10 p.m. plus for you. Yeah. Or early morning. Yeah. What else? Okay. Since you don't have any questions, let's get started with today's discussion. I'm skipping lecture 7 for a bit. but